Welcome to day 20 of the New Way. I'll read Luke 2:21 through 24. On the 8th day, when it was time to circumcise the child, he was named Jesus, the name the angel had given him before he was conceived. When the time came for the purification rites required by the law of Moses, Joseph and Mary took him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every firstborn male is to be consecrated to the Lord, and to offer a sacrifice in keeping with what is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of doves or 2 young pigeons. 8 days after Jesus was born, just like John, he was circumcised and named. Both Jesus and John were given names that an angel had instructed their parents. This ceremony is still practiced by Jewish people today and is called a Brit Milah or a bris. I attended a bris while we lived in New Jersey. It is carried out much the same way it was in Jesus and John's time. I don't know if Jesus was circumcised at home, in the stable, or at the local synagogue in Bethlehem, since it is not mentioned. On the 40th day after Jesus' birth, his parents traveled from Bethlehem to Jerusalem, which was about 6 miles, for 2 more Jewish ceremonies. The first was the redemption of the firstborn. This was established during the time of Moses and is recorded in Exodus 13:1 through 16, if you want to read about it. That reference again is Exodus 13:1 through 16. Here God says that every firstborn belonged to him, whether human or animal. To purchase or redeem a firstborn's life, a lamb had to be sacrificed in his place. But there was a provision for the very poor, who did not own a lamb. They could offer 2 pigeons instead. What does this tell you about Mary and Joseph's finances? If you were the king of the universe and wanted to send your son to earth, what parents would you pick? The second ceremony was the purification of the mother. When a woman gave birth, she was considered to be unclean until she healed, or about 40 days. This was not a punishment. This was God's provision so that others would need to do her work so that she could rest and heal. She would not be allowed to go to the well to carry water or go to the market to get food. At the end of this 40-day period, she would go to the temple and present her sacrifice, and the priest would declare her to be clean. Yesterday's lesson showed that God sent a marvelous display of angels to announce Jesus' birth. Who was that audience? If you'll remember, it was the shepherds. At that time, they were the lowest class in Israel. They were considered to be dirty and not worthy of attention. God's ways are not our ways. He didn't send Jesus to earth just for the wealthy and powerful. He also sent him for the poorest of the poor and announced him to the outcast of society, the lowest class, if you please. Because of this, you can be assured of God's love, no matter how rich, how poor, how loved or unloved you feel. God loves you and sent his Son for you. In his service, Dale.